Patience is one of those qualities that people often misunderstand. Most think of it as waiting quietly, doing nothing, or holding back out of fear. But true patience in the realm of love and dating is far from passive. It is a calculated act of self-control, one that communicates deep confidence without a single word. For a man over 40, patience becomes even more powerful because it carries the weight of life experience. A younger man may act fast because he fears losing his chance, but an older man who has lived through enough knows that rushing creates mistakes, and mistakes destroy attraction. When a woman meets a man who refuses to rush, she begins to question him. She wonders why he is not chasing her the way others do. She begins to think about him more, and in psychology, the more you think about someone, the more powerful their presence becomes inside your mind. Studies in human behavior show that attraction is often linked to uncertainty. When you are not sure how someone feels about you, your brain works harder to solve the puzzle. That effort creates emotional investment. A man who practices patience creates this very puzzle inside a woman's mind. Instead of throwing his intentions on the table too soon, he gives her space to wonder, space to question, space to imagine. This makes her thoughts circle back to him even when he is not around. Patience is not just about waiting for the right time, it is about creating a mental loop inside her that keeps replaying without effort. That is the silent power of it. Another layer of patience is control over emotions. Many men fail in dating not because they lack good looks, money, or intelligence, but because they lack control over their emotions. They react too fast, confess too soon, or reveal too much. Women sense desperation in seconds, and once they feel it, respect begins to fade. But when a man holds back, when he allows the silence to breathe, when he does not reveal his emotions in a hurry, he sends a message of strength. It says, "I do not need to prove myself to you. I know my worth." This message is far louder than any words of flattery or desperate attempts at attention. In fact, research in psychology has long shown that delayed gratification is linked to stronger self-control, success, and emotional resilience. The famous marshmallow experiment with children revealed that those who could wait rather than take the immediate reward went on to live more successful lives. Translate this into love and dating, and the principle is the same. A man who does not need instant attention, instant validation, or instant affection is viewed as stronger. A woman feels this strength, and she cannot ignore it. She may not even understand why, but she will feel drawn to it. Patience, then, becomes less about waiting and more about creating a magnetic field of mystery. Patience in a man over 40 carries an invisible magnetism that goes beyond what is said or done. At this age, a man has often been through heartbreaks, rejections, or failed relationships. He has seen enough of life to know that not every situation deserves an immediate reaction. This wisdom shows itself in silence, in measured responses, and in the refusal to be pulled into emotional games. Women notice this difference. When she says something to test him, he does not break. When she tries to provoke a reaction, he stays calm. That composure becomes mysterious, because in her mind, she is used to men proving themselves, apologizing too fast, or chasing without dignity. The man who does not is not seen as cold, but as controlled. He feels untouchable, and that untouchable quality is exactly what keeps her mind hooked on him. Psychologists often explain that attraction is not built by availability alone but by perceived value. When something is scarce, it is desired more. A man who gives away his attention too freely lowers its value. But when he practices patience, when he does not answer every message instantly, when he chooses his words carefully, when he does not rush to turn every meeting into intimacy, he makes his attention feel rare. That rarity triggers desire. It is the same principle that makes limited edition items sell faster, even if people do not need them. Their mind is wired to chase what feels difficult to obtain. In relationships, patience makes a man's presence feel like that rare treasure. Another element that makes patience powerful is the way it shapes perception of strength. Women naturally look for stability in men, especially when considering deeper relationships. Stability is not just financial or physical. It is emotional. A man who is quick to anger, who reacts instantly to rejection, who begs for love, shows emotional weakness. But a man who waits, who listens, who does not rush, radiates inner power. That power is felt in his tone of voice, in his timing, in his silence. He does not need to fill every gap with words because he is not afraid of space. This is important because silence itself has psychological weight. It forces the other person to lean into it, to wonder, to think. When a woman sits in silence with such a man, she cannot ignore the tension building inside her. History has shown again and again that leaders, negotiators, and even great thinkers used patience as a weapon. They understood that holding back at the right moment creates impact far greater than reacting instantly. In love and dating, this is no different. When a man over 40 applies patience, he communicates that he is not playing a short game. He is not desperate for today's outcome, because he has his eye on a bigger picture. This mindset shifts the power dynamic. It makes the woman realize she is not dealing with someone ordinary. She is dealing with someone who cannot be easily moved, and that realization alone makes her chase harder. Patience is not only about waiting. It is about what happens in the space of waiting. When a man over 40 allows silence to stretch, when he does not rush to fill it with nervous words, something unusual happens inside a woman's mind. She begins to project her own thoughts into that silence. If he does not respond instantly, she starts wondering why. If he does not reveal everything about himself, she begins trying to figure him out. The mystery grows not because he is pretending, but because he is not rushing. Her brain naturally works to solve puzzles, and a patient man becomes a puzzle she cannot easily put down. In psychology, this is called cognitive tension. When the brain faces an unanswered question, it feels restless until it can find closure. Patience creates this exact tension. If a man replies too quickly or shows his intentions too openly, there is no puzzle left to solve. But when he is calm, deliberate, and slow, she feels compelled to chase after the missing pieces. This is why a patient man is remembered even in his absence. He does not flood her with attention, yet she cannot stop thinking about him. The silence he creates becomes louder than the noise of others who try too hard. Consider how desire builds in contrast. If something is instantly available, it feels less exciting. But when effort is required, when there is a waiting period, the mind values it more. Studies on delayed gratification show that people who wait for a reward experience it more intensely. In relationships, this works the same way. When a man does not rush, when he slows the pace, when he allows tension to rise, the eventual connection feels deeper and more powerful. A woman feels that his attention is earned, not simply given away. That difference shapes how she values him. Patience also influences body language in subtle but undeniable ways. A man who is in control of his emotions moves differently. His eye contact is steady but never desperate. His pauses before speaking make his words feel important. His slower pace in touch, in tone, in conversation, signals confidence without arrogance. These micro-signals are picked up unconsciously by women, and they build a sense of magnetism. She might not be able to explain why she feels drawn to him, but her body responds to the patience he embodies. It is a language without words, yet it speaks directly to attraction. At this stage in life, over 40, patience becomes even more valuable because it is rare. Younger men often rush, driven by insecurity or urgency. But a man who has lived long enough to know that real connections are not built in one night has a different aura. That aura sets him apart from the crowd. It is not just his age, but the weight of his experience and his choice to let things unfold at their own pace. This makes him unforgettable, because he is not competing for attention, he is commanding it through calmness. Patience does not only affect the way a woman thinks about a man, it also changes the way he sees himself. When a man is able to hold back his impulses, he builds inner strength that others cannot ignore. Most men are controlled by urgency. They rush into conversations, into confessions, into physical contact, because silence makes them uncomfortable. But a man who can wait without breaking is a man who owns his desires instead of being owned by them. This inner control is what women read as power, even if they cannot describe it in words. It is not about playing a game, it is about showing mastery over one's own emotions. And that mastery feels magnetic. Think about how dominance works in the animal world. The strongest animal does not always need to roar or fight to prove its strength. Often it is the calmest one in the group, the one that moves slowly, that others follow. In human relationships, this is no different. The man who is patient, who allows others to come to him, signals that he is valuable. Women sense this instinctively. A man who does not rush appears to have other options, other priorities, and a strong sense of self. That perception creates desire, because scarcity makes anything more valuable. Patience also reshapes the rhythm of conversation. When a man does not hurry to respond, his words carry more weight. If he allows a pause before answering, the woman feels the suspense, and her attention sharpens. She wonders what he is about to say, and that curiosity makes his presence more intense. This is not manipulation, it is communication at a deeper level. The pause gives meaning to their words, and meaning is what creates emotional impact. A man over 40 who uses patience in this way feels different from the noisy, restless energy of others. His silence is not emptiness, it is a statement. There is also a psychological twist that makes patience so powerful. Women are wired to test the stability of a man. Sometimes they will say things to provoke, to see how he reacts. An impatient man becomes defensive or angry. A patient man, however, absorbs the moment calmly. His lack of reaction proves resilience, and that resilience becomes highly attractive. It signals that he is not fragile, that he can hold the weight of pressure without breaking. In relationships, this is deeply reassuring for a woman, because it shows he can handle challenges without losing control. Over time, patience transforms into trust. A woman begins to trust a man who does not rush, because his pace feels steady. She feels safe knowing he is not acting out of desperation. Safety is one of the strongest foundations of desire. When she feels secure in his presence, she allows herself to open up more fully. That openness deepens the bond, creating not just attraction but a sense of devotion. Patience, when carried long enough, becomes more than just an attitude. It becomes a form of power that shapes how others behave. A man who is patient changes the pace of the interaction without ever forcing it. The woman unconsciously adjusts to his rhythm. She starts waiting for his responses, seeking his approval, and valuing his attention more because he does not give it away too quickly. This reversal of roles creates a magnetic pull. She begins to wonder why he does not rush the way others do, and that mystery keeps him on her mind long after he is gone. Psychologists often explain that what we resist tends to grow stronger in our minds. When a woman cannot easily predict or control a man's behavior, he takes up more space in her thoughts. His patience creates that exact effect. By not chasing, not rushing, not pressing, he becomes the puzzle she wants to solve. This curiosity soon turns into attraction, and attraction, when mixed with uncertainty, transforms into obsession. Many women will not even realize why they are thinking so much about a man, only that they cannot stop. Patience also builds respect. In a world where most interactions feel rushed and shallow, a man who waits, who does not pressure, who moves at his own speed, feels rare. Rarity creates value. A patient man gives the impression that he does not need anyone to complete him, and that independence forces others to respect him. Women feel this difference strongly. Instead of seeing him as someone desperate for attention, they see him as someone worthy of it. Respect is often what separates temporary attraction from long-lasting desire. Without respect, feelings fade quickly. With respect, they grow deeper with time. There is another layer to this. Patience not only attracts women but also protects a man from mistakes that others fall into. Quick words can damage trust. Quick actions can ruin potential. Many relationships collapse because of rushed emotions that lead to bad choices. Patience acts as a shield. It prevents a man from giving too much too soon, from showing neediness, from losing his sense of control. Instead, it allows him to observe, to understand, and to move with precision. This makes his every gesture, every word more meaningful. In the end, patience is not about waiting passively. It is about holding the frame of power without letting outside pressure break it. It is about creating a rhythm that others are drawn into, about turning silence into energy, and about using time itself as a tool of attraction. For men over 40, this is more than a strategy in love and dating, it is a way of life that naturally separates them from the restless noise of younger men. The calm authority of patience becomes their hidden weapon, the secret force that makes them unforgettable.